All right, let us move into settings. We're going to start from the bottom and we're going to make our way all the way to the top until we have all these pages, all these functions explained. Okay. Um, in this section, we're going to explain support settings very briefly. There's nothing to explain in all honesty. And of course, we're going to explain discovery configuration. And that's going to conclude this section of the course. Support settings contains the set of configurations that are there to control whether the no-name, whether we no-name employees can monitor the health of your no-name platform. Okay. In our case, for our training instance, this is not possible because we do not have access to the monitoring host. We cannot communicate that information to the monitoring host. Okay. There is TCP channels that need to be configured, secure channels, in order to be able to funnel this type of traffic. Okay, so this is not much else to say. Let's go to the main focus of this specific section, which is the discovery configuration. The sections or the page, this particular page provides functionality that controls how we populate and with what kind of information we populate the inventory page, the information under inventory page. Okay. For example, there is a section called advanced error parsing, the very first one, and this section controls whether we can interpret correctly the error, uh, the responses from your API requests that are in error. Okay, not all APIs make use of the HTTP status codes in order to interpret errors. Okay, and not all APIs are RESTful. Okay, so in that case, in order to be able to interpret the errors, we will have to come in here. We'll have to add new rules and specify those rules. What's the path of the API? Whether we would like to use any regular expression, what's the error code like, and so on. Okay, or extract the error from the response, which means that we're going to have to go in the response, track down a field, and track down that error. Okay, what's the path, what's the extraction logic, and so on. And all the information are right here. And usually they're based upon regular expressions, guys. Okay, all right. The second one is called client IP header fields. The no-name platform needs to identify the source or the originating IP where the request is coming from. Okay, this is a list in priority. And by the way, the tooltips are pretty good. Uh, This list is in priority, as the tooltip says, and we first going to check the request whether it contains an X forwarded 4 header. If it does, we're going to use the IP that is provided by that header. If not, we're going to go to the next, to the next, to the next until we locate one of those. Okay. If you have your own custom headers that some of your APIs or all of your APIs are using in order to communicate those IPs, come here, add a new client IP header, and move it to the right ordering. Okay. Extract tags from headers. What is a tag? A tag is a piece of information that contains metadata with respect to an API. I'm going to show you in a future section how you can manually define those tags. Okay. Now you also have the ability to define tags, in an automated manner. Okay. What's that automated manner? Come to this section, add a header. You just have to provide the header name. If we detect that header name in your request, in your API request, we're going to extract the value and we're going to set it as a tag. Okay. There are many use cases for this, right? One of the most useful ones that I heard is the one where customers, they have established a process whereby they provide the owners of the API in a header. Okay, so that automatically the no-name platform can be configured to extract those owners and add them as tags in your API, so you can easily identify who owns which API. Okay, that's extract tags from headers. Let's go to the clustering exclusions. We talked earlier on about clustering, those angled brackets with a string, the number, and so on. Okay, there may be cases where you do not want to cluster the corresponding values. Okay. These are all such cases: underscore debug, underscore debug, underscore debug, about, access, and so on. And if you look at them, most of them are either acronyms or words straight out of a dictionary. Okay. What does that mean? It means that if you remember earlier on when we were under inventory and we were looking under the APIs, we had member string or flights number. So the members, if I have about or any one of those excluded words, then I will not cluster those values. I'm going to keep them as a separate API altogether in the inventory. If on the other hand I have a value that is not present, for example, I don't know, something that resembles an ID, ABCD, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, then I will cluster that value. Okay, so that's what clustering exclusions mean under discovery configuration. We're right here. Okay, clustering ports. Here's another aspect of the no-name platform that can be clustered. I haven't mentioned this because this is a part of clustering that you have full control. Okay, remember, clustering can be done on the host, on the path, and on the cookie name. Okay, you have no control over them. What you can control is the port. There's two ports that are clustered: port 80, port 443. Okay, if I add another port 3000, I can by clicking this button, adding the port number. What does that mean, however? If I take you back to the inventory, if I go back to the APIs, I want you to pay attention that there's no port in any of these hosts. Okay? If I go and I remove port 80, port 443, then we're going to see acmeairline.com colon 80. We're going to see another row, acme.airline.com port 443. If access through HTTP and HTTPS is detected by the no-name platform, of course. Okay. If we had a port 3000 access, right? Then we're going to see acme.airline.com colon 3000. We're going to have three separate rows. Okay. If you deem that this is the same exact API access, then you can go to the discovery settings and you can add those different ports. Okay, and then you're going to cluster those three rows into one, the same way it's visualized right now. The ignored path extensions, all of these are file extensions. So if we detect traffic, HTTP traffic that has the form path.pdf, we ignore that type of traffic because chances are it's not an API. It's actually a file access. And all of these are such extensions that can be ignored. Okay? All of these. You want to add more extensions, be my guest. You want to delete because it doesn't apply to you, go ahead and delete. Okay? The next section is all about ignoring APIs that match these regular expressions, these conditions. And again, remember, host, path, and method, and the host includes the port. Okay. In this particular case, the only APIs that we ignore are the ones that contain the method head, options, trace, and connect. These methods are there for identifying metadata about the APIs, about the HTTP protocol, about the servers that we're hitting with this request. They're not there to invoke actual APIs and that are there to manage some data, are there to manage some business process, and so on. Okay? Metadata. These are not APIs, so hence why they're ignored. You have additional combinations that are not APIs, please come in here and configure them. Add regex and so on. Empty request and response. This is enabled. Okay? That means we are ignoring all APIs that contain both an empty request and an empty response. Okay? We are ignoring them both. The reason why you want to ignore them both is chances are these are not APIs. Now, we do have some of our customers, very few, that they have some APIs with empty requests and responses, and they would like to also see them in the inventory page under APIs. In that case, you need to disable this. Now, be careful when you disable this setting. If you disable this setting, expect a flood of additional APIs to be identified under the APIs page. So take care if you decide to make changes at this point. Okay? Take care. The last thing is the access logs integrations. Okay? What is this? The access logs integrations enables the use of access logs so we can discover APIs that have not been discovered yet by any other method. That is integrations, right? That is integrations. So it's turned on by default. If you make use of access log integration, on the other hand, be forewarned that access log generally do not contain request bodies, response bodies. The only thing you're going to be able to see is the actual method, the path, the host, and that's it. Okay? Keep that in mind. All right, so this is the discovery configuration, and that concludes pretty much the section end. Okay? Talk to you in the next.